So to start off the show, which is all about apples today, I started by making this wonderful roasted pork tenderloins with apples and onions. Very, very simple to do. And I'm just going to finish up the dish and tell you a little bit about how we started it. So we started with 2 whole pork tenderloins, and we just seasoned them well with some salt and pepper, and just quickly, for about 5 minutes on each side, browned them up in a skillet. Then we took those pork tenderloins and we took them off the skillet onto a plate. And then we took some onion, some apples, some more oil, sauteed those up, just so the apples and the onions start getting a little color. Add some fresh garlic and some fresh thyme and apple cider. Then we put it in the oven and let it continue cooking. And I mentioned earlier using an instant read meat thermometer, but once you start doing this over and over again, you can just kind of do a test, and if it's firm like that, you know it's done. But 145 is the internal temperature you're looking for. Ooh, that's hot. Just came out of the oven. I always forget that after you take a skillet out of the oven. Okay, so then you're going to take the apples and the onions and take a slotted spoon, and the house will smell. Our kitchen studio today smells probably the best it's ever smelled. So we want to remove as many as the onions and apples that we can, and just kind of put them over the pork. Talk about the ultimate fall dinner recipe to treat your family on a Sunday, or if you're having company over. And it's really pretty easy. It's just a couple of different steps. So you don't have to get all of the apple and the onions, but you want to get the majority of them. Okay, so now we're left with this great, and you know, all of my top chef friends, and I've learned from them, just go ahead and wipe the plate with a clean rag, although we're going to put some sauce over the top anyway, so I'm not sure why I'm wiping now, because Ann gave me that look, that's why. Okay, so we're going to take this wonderful sauce that we've got in the bottom, and we're going to make it really extra lovely. Now, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but when you go out to a fancy restaurant, you know, so many of the dishes are served with a wonderful pan sauce, and how they get that rich, gorgeous pan sauce with the wonderful sheen is they whisk in a little bit of cold butter in a lot of the recipes right at the end, just to give it some great flavor. So we've got some ice cold butter, and just a tablespoon or 2 will do that. So we'll do 2. And you notice I took this off the heat because this is plenty hot now, and I'm just going to take a whisk. You know, people ask me about pork. How do you know, keep pork nice and juicy and not tasting like, you know, dry and like shoe leather? Well, when I'm grilling pork, a lot of times I'll marinate it. That's huge. The other thing I mentioned is not overcooking it. That is really huge. We used to think that we'd have to cook pork forever and a day, and so that's what we all did. You don't have to do that anymore. That magic number is 145 degrees. Then pull it off the grill, or off the, you know, out of the skillet or out of the oven, and let it rest before you slice it. I want to let that rest for about 10 minutes. And then my other tip is I love to serve pork. Pork is already so naturally lean that I really love to serve pork with some sort of a sauce. So there you go. We've got it all taken care of. So I don't know if you can see this sauce, but we didn't have to add any flour, and it kind of thickens up naturally, and it's got a really pretty kind of a sheen to it now that we've added that butter. So at this point, wild rice would be a wonderful accompaniment with this for fall, mashed potatoes, and then of course we've got the apple and the onion, so you can serve this on the side or just right on top. But this is amazing, and you've got a little hint from the apple cider, hint of sweetness, but really for the most part this is a nice savory dish. You could add a little more fresh thyme at the end. Fresh herbs at the end are always a great way to finish the dish. So there you go. If you make one thing this fall, you must make my roasted pork tenderloins with apples and onions. And by the way, you can get the recipe on the website. You can also pick it up at Super Ron's in Pulaski. Coming up, we've been talking about these really cute apple cider cupcakes with apple cider frosting. Christine, the happy cookie lady, will show us how to make them next.